One of the many questions students ask us is, how is sixth form different from year 11? Well, it's clear to us in the sixth form team that independence is what makes or breaks you as a student at Key Stage 5. Here we spoke to students and staff about what they believe independence is and how you can be independent and what it looks like in their subjects.
Being independent sixth form's like just doing work for yourself and like not having to rely on like teachers to tell you like you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like mainly when it comes to exams, so make sure that when you do revision, you're doing revision that suits you and not what your friends are doing just because you find it easier to like do what they're doing. It's like doing what's best for you.
I would say independent learning is about being proactive and taking responsibility for your own learning. So there's a sense in which, where, for example, you find things difficult, you need to be the person who does something about it. So that might mean talking to your teachers, it might mean researching around the topic, it might mean working with your peers to try and understand something, but it's about actually being proactive with what you need to do differently or what you need to find out so that you can be successful in that topic or course.
What does being independent mean to you?
It means I can take my own initiative to what I want to do, and it means I can focus on the things that I feel I'm particularly struggling on, which is really helpful in the lead up to exams, so I don't have to focus on things that I'm finding easy. I can actually help myself.
What does it mean to be independent in sixth form?
Okay, I think independence means you're taking the initiative yourself, so not relying on teachers to supply you with everything. The teachers are there to guide you through your courses, but it's your responsibility to make sure that you're following the courses and you're doing the right thing. An example, if for any reason you're not in a lesson, like have to patch you out on a trip or something else, it's your responsibility to go and get the work from that lesson to find out what you're missing to do your catch up stuff. That's taking responsibility on yourself rather than waiting for the teacher to kind of mop things up afterwards. So that would be one example.
An independent learner in media is someone who asks relevant questions in the lesson, but then goes away and seeks external sources. They might then read those sources and come up with their own questions. They might bring them to the lesson and put them to the class. They might email the rest of the group in the class and say, these are what I found, can anyone add anything to it, or has anyone found anything different? So they're kind of engaging in the lessons in a kind of more complex way than you would just turning up and listening to the teacher.
I think like when you motivate yourself to do the tasks, it's not just about learning independently, it's about wanting to learn.
Is when you're in year 11, you have things, you always have like teachers around you, and like if you finish your exams that I know in year 11 now, if they finish their exams, they've still got to go to the teacher and they've got to be like, make sure that they're revised, whereas when you come to sixth form you haven't really got that, so you just have to know that you have to do it yourself. So you're not really taught how to do it, you just sort of have to learn how to do it, but it is quite easy anyway.
So being in sixth form, to be independent.
I think it was quite difficult. I didn't really understand like the jump initially, because at GCSE, like say if a teacher forgets to collect in the homework, eventually you start to just not bother to do it. But at A level, like the homework isn't for them, it's for you. So really, to do the homework, it doesn't matter if they're going to collect it in or not. You may as well just do it.
I suppose the level of the work is a big jump up. The amount of work I think that's required. So I think students in year 11, a lot of students in year 11 really just go through the year pretty much doing work in lessons and not doing that much outside of lessons, and really with A-level and level 3 courses that's not enough. Even though you're doing fewer courses, you kind of need to be doing more work, so you might be doing 8 different courses in year 11 and only 3 or 4 in year 12, but the level of work and the amount of stuff you have to do on top of that increases, and you've got to have the self-motivation to do that, even at times when you don't feel like it.
Teachers giving us homework and then setting us projects outside of our actual lessons that we had to complete either with a group project or we had to do it by ourselves and has to be in for a certain date, so that we can train ourselves to know we have to work by ourselves to complete a goal.
I think when you just try and learn more about like the little things in the subject, it really helps you to understand it. So say like if you look up other things things that the person has done, it will just help you to understand their mindset more.
So in economics, a lot of wider reading is really helpful. So for example, if you're looking at something like government policies, we might teach what sort of policies look like in practice and in theory, but you could go out and research that and sort of find out what's going on for the actual country or for other countries by quite easily looking online, looking in the news, finding out kind of up-to-date information for yourself. So it's about maybe taking a topic and then expanding on that for yourself and really going beyond what you're taught in the lesson so that you've got a much deeper understanding of it. Because the reality is, in lesson times, you don't necessarily have the time to cover everything in a real level of depth, and so actually going outside of the lesson and being able to investigate it for yourself will give you a much broader understanding that will help, and you can take that back into the next lesson and back into your exam answers. So yeah.
When I'm at uni, you have to be really independent, and you don't get anywhere near as much contact time as you do. And when you are in, with contact time, it's normally in seminars, and I know my seminars are in for about 200 people at a time. So a lot of the work that I will do will be just independent on my own, having to revise from notes and things.
On your timetable, you will have free home studies, but also allocated study periods where you'll be expected to work. In order for you to manage your workload, study sessions with the support of Emma are to give you allocated time to complete home learning, reading or coursework. Some students find it easier to work in the sixth form area rather than at home, as you can access support but also achieve a better work-life balance. To be successful in sixth form, you must use the resources and time to plan and manage your time effectively. So, what have we learned about being independent? The best tips for being an independent learner are: take responsibility for your own learning, planning ahead with deadlines, or your teachers will give you deadlines in advance, so there are no excuses for missing deadlines. Use the OneDrive to manage your documents so you can access anywhere, on your phone, on the computer, on your iPad. Communicate with your teachers all the time, just in case you are struggling. Use books from the reading list to support your lesson content, and seek new information and don't necessarily agree with it, actually argue and evaluate it.